Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Good morning and welcome in for another episode of Woodward and Main Street, a Victory Tuesday episode. We're so happy to have you here with us bright and early on this Tuesday morning. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips. Matt Broder, Terry Foster will be once again joining us on the phones, giving us all the updates from out in Los Angeles. And today's episode, like every episode, is brought to you by Les Stanford. So thank you, Les Stanford, for making this show possible.
Thank you,
wow.
Les. More wins, Les Stanford. There we go. They did it.
They did
the
it?
Lions, they just beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they're headed to the NFC Championship game. How about that, Gabrielle Dee Phillips?
You know what, Matt? How about this? 2 wins and a bye week in between.
Let's go. Let's go.
I like that, Dan Campbell. I like that, Matt Broder. Let's make that happen.
The path is there. The path is there, whether it's the Booner path or the Super Bowl path, whatever you want to call it. The Lions got a shot here.
They really do.
San Francisco 49ers are the only thing now standing in the way of Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions to get to the, are we allowed to say that? The Super Bowl. Don't say it. Don't say it. The big game. The big game in Las Vegas.
We'll word it, but we're not going to say it. We don't want to jinx it. We have to get into what went down at Ford Field before we look ahead to what's coming for the Detroit Lions, a 31-23 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Detroit sent and I'm giving credit to whoever had this sign at the Red Wings game, the Tampa Babies home. They sent the Tampa Babies packing all the way back to the Bay. They did that. Very exciting. How was the experience down at Ford Field, Matt?
It was amazing. Again, it was elevated even more from the wild card round against the Los Angeles Rams, which was hard to believe that it could get any louder, any more consistently rowdy. But it was. From the start of the game to the end, that crowd was nuts. It was like a college atmosphere. I had a lot of friends, family members, texting me after. It was like, man, it looked insane in there with the white towels. It was amazing. After the first drive, so the Lions, they got the first kick. I think they lost the punt, but they lost the coin toss. They received the opening kick, and then they went on a 3-and-out. And it was almost like, they just can't. The energy was sucked out just a tiny bit.
Okay.
But then the very next drive, as soon as the defense came out on the field, the entire building exploded again. And then C.D. Deuce had his interception on Baker Mayfield. And that's when Ford Field it took that next level up and just continued.
Rightfully so.
All game.
Rightfully so. So you had said to review our pessimistic and optimistic. You were a little bit pessimistic about how Goff would handle this pressure against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How do you think he handled against the pressure on Sunday?
I thought he did great. Yeah. I thought he did great, and we're going to talk about Goff more throughout the show. But I thought he handled a lot of that Tampa Bay Buccaneers blitzing really well. And you got to give credit to the offensive line too.
No doubt.
They were shorthanded with Jonah Jackson having been out early in the game. I think it was in the second quarter, but they really stood up to the test. Vita Vea wasn't a menace. He didn't really affect the game as much as he has games in the past against other teams. Jared Goff was able to find his blitz neutralizers, we'll call it. His Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporte, Josh Reynolds. He really worked the ball around to a lot of different pass catchers. I was really pleased. I was happy.
Good.
Yeah.
I love to hear it. And one thing that Terry will be happy about is the utilization of St. Brown. I tweeted at him during the game because I was like, okay.
At St. Brown or at Terry?
At Terry.
Okay.
I tweeted at Terry. St. Brown was a little bit busy. I tweeted at Terry and was like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about how they are using St. Brown? So let's get Terry on the phone right now and let's talk to him about it because he was excited on Twitter about how they were using him. Terry, do we have you?
Terry.
You got me. Hello.
Hi. Good morning. Bright and early out on the West Coast.
It is. It's very dark here. And it's rained every day that I've been here, but I'm getting I got the main thing that I came out here for done yesterday. Actually, it was like at 9 o'clock last night. We got Celine her car.
Love
Her
that.
first car moving out here. But I got a little question for you guys.
Okay.
Only 5 people have done this. They are Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, and Kurt Warner, and Jared Goff. What do they all have in common?
You said Tom Brady, Kurt Warner, Peyton Manning, and Jared Goff. 4? Or was there a 5th in there?
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre. I don't know, Terry.
I don't know.
I'm trying to elite. I don't know. What is it?
They are the only quarterbacks to quarterback 2 teams to a conference championship team.
Okay, Terry, coming in with the facts.
Very elite company, yes.
That's for sure.
And Jared is one of those guys. But I was pleased to answer your question, Gabrielle, about St. Brown. I just thought this was a game where they needed to go to him, force it to him, if you may, and they did that, and I was pleased to see that.
I had a feeling you would be pleased. As soon as I started to see how that game was going and how much St. Brown was seeing the ball, I was like, this is exactly what Terry asked for this morning. So they must have been listening to you on the show bright and early. But I also need to know... Or what?
Or they finally realized this dude is a stud and can't be stopped.
That's what I hope, and I hope it continues into this next game. But I need to hear about how your experience has been in LA and how it was wearing the Lions gear and being a Lions fan for the first time in your life.
You got to have some stories, Terry.
Yeah, I was like a rock star hero at the Blue Dog Brewery.
Nice.
That's where I watched the game. And it started out before I even got there. I was at the hotel, and I was wearing my little Lions jersey, and I met a guy, and he's from California. He's from Jared Goff's hometown, of all places.
Really?
And he said, Jared Goff is a great guy, and what he does every week that we don't know about is that he sends tickets back to his old high school teammates to come see the Lions play.
So he's going to have a lot of friends and family.
it.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Terry.
Yeah, and they really appreciate it and have enjoyed this run. And they even enjoyed it when they were 3-13-1. They just wanted to see NFL football. Now it's really special, and Jared Goff reaches back and to his old teammates.
That is so cool. That is an awesome story, Terry. I'm sure he's going to have plenty of people in the crowd there on Sunday. So even though it won't exactly be a home game for the Lions, it's kind of like a homecoming for Goff, which is really cool and adds another wrinkle into this story.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm trying to think. Oh, once I got there was a few Lion fans. It wasn't a lot of people there because obviously this is not Detroit, but I sat next to a family, and there was this cute little girl, and they were watching the game, and she said, "We want the blue men to win," and that was the guys wearing the blue. Says, "We don't want the red guys to win," and her dad says, "No, we want the Lions to win. They're the blue guys." And
the blueberries.
he said that he's from California, but he wanted the Lions to win because they have been awful for so long, and he also loved Barry Sanders, so he was rooting for the Lions.
You were in good
and
company.
Then I just got so much, go Lions, and one guy told me, he says, the whole world wants to see the Lions win this thing.
Wow.
Love that.
So we're going from America's team to the world's team.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I sold him short, I guess.
I love it. Well, we're going to be right back because we need to hear about who you are giving your game ball to, Terry, as well as Matt and myself, because the Lions won, which means we get to hand out game balls. So stick with us, and we will be right back here on the corner of Woodward and Main Street.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Broder and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Broder and Broder.
Welcome back. This is Woodward and Main Street here on Woodward Sports Network. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips, Matt Broder, Terry Foster joining us on the phone live from LA bright and early because the Lions won against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, extending their playoff run and extending our opportunity to talk about a Lions win.
How about
we'll
it?
take it. We will take it. We're going to give out our game balls in this segment. So I'm going to kick things off because, as I almost always do, I go with the guy that Dan Campbell goes with because Dan Campbell is the leading man and I follow his lead. So my game ball is going to Derek Barnes because when you get the game-winning interception, you deserve the game ball. Straight up, that's it. And, you know, listening to his speech when he accepted his game ball made me even want to give him this to him more, knowing that he's like, it's taken me 3 years, but at least I did it. At least I'm here. And he did that with his newborn son attending his first Lions game. Trey
Barnes.
Trey Barnes, his newborn son, was there to witness, probably won't remember, his dad's game-winning interception that will send the Lions to San Francisco. So excited.
Oh, his dad will
for
remind him.
Oh,
His dad will
no
remind him
doubt.
throughout his life.
He should.
Yeah, and Derek Barnes, he played well throughout the game. He was
God,
kind of
yeah.
all over the field. What was it? 4 tackles, had the big interception, a pass
Exactly.
deflection. Derek Barnes sort of embodies this team just as that gritty player who's overcome adversity, as cliche as you want to say it.
Yeah.
Jack Campbell was drafted in to be, you know, that linebacker next to Anzalone, and Derek Barnes just took that and ran with it and has been the ultimate teammate, the ultimate competitor. Great to see him do
doubt.
something so special in such a big game.
Absolutely love it. Terry,
You know what,
we're
gang?
gonna
There's
set-
a theme.
Oh,
There's a theme. Derek Barnes is one of those guys that people called hot garbage. Didn't want him on the team. Got released and came back and redeemed himself. I mean, Jared Goff is a guy that's been ridiculed
no
and
doubt.
not being good enough. Dan Campbell, when he first came in, boy, this guy's a clown. He can't revive this franchise. And it seems like every time Brad Holmes makes a move, what the hell is he doing? And it all works out. And Derek Barnes is just another one of these guys. And then St. Brown getting moved down in the draft. You know, a bunch of guys, this team, you know, this must be the most pissed off team in America because there's so many moving parts on this team that's been doubted, neglected, ignored, and say you're not good enough, and look at them now.
No doubt. And you mentioned him, so why don't you hand out your game ball, Terry? Who is your game ball going to?
I'm sure this is going to be a big surprise. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Heck yeah.
I just thought that he kept the chains moving. Stats didn't matter. Goff and Ben Johnson went to him. This seemed to be a tailor-made game for him because nobody on Tampa can guard him. Like, you know, nobody in the NFL can. So this was his moment, and I just thought it was time for him to shine and have a big game in a big moment because this is what he is. He's a tough guy, too. when you go in the locker room and you see guys and you see the little guy with the little blue hair now, he doesn't look like an imposing NFL player, but he's as dangerous as anybody. He's smart. That's the thing I like about him. You know, he looks for the little wrinkles in the defense. He exploits them, and he gets open, and Jared Goff finds him.
You're so right.
And
yep.
Right. One rule: every time you have an important series, you should go to St. Brown at least once, probably twice or 3 times.
I agree. I think the sun had called it that morning. We saw the sunrise on Sunday, and it was like Lion King-esque that morning. And we said it from that moment. We were like, that's a sign. That's a sign that they're going to throw it to the sun god.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on his performance, Matt?
I loved it. I loved it. And it maybe he'd probably tell you it wasn't his best performance ever. There was the one big drop on 3rd down, but the catches he did make, the key catches, especially in the second half, were so important to the team. There was one earlier on in the game, a 3rd and 2, that Jahmyr Gibbs, it was a perfect play from Jahmyr Gibbs, Jared Goff, and St. Brown's, where Gibbs picked up the blitz. Jared Goff threw a dot right to St. Brown, who caught it with, I believe it was Antoine Winfield. It might have been McCollum all over him to get that. And again, I think it was a 3rd and 15 later in the game where there was a pass. He was about a yard or 2 short, surrounded by 3 people, and managed to extend his body out forward for a big, big, big first down. I love it. St. Brown, the 1 touchdown. I think they're undefeated when St. Brown catches a touchdown pass in a game. So, Terry, you're right. Every big drive, every big game, it needs to go to St. Brown at least a handful of times.
Yeah, you know what's the amazing thing about him? He's not 6'6" or anything like that. He doesn't have extremely long arms, but and he's not big. But every time you throw the ball in traffic, he seems to come up with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, he's the exact opposite of Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson, he could have 5 people around him, and he's always open because he can out-jump people. He had long arms. St. Brown doesn't have any of that. But I think what he has, and pardon the pun here, but he has that grit. And I think he learned that from his dad, competing with his brother. And Dan Campbell added that little extra layer for him. And St. Brown, very nice guy, but you could tell he's just like annoyed by things in life. And he's breaking down a bunch of walls and barriers and stuff and making himself one of the best receivers in the league. And next year, he's getting all this exposure now. He will not be ignored for the Pro Bowl. He will not be ignored for All-Pro. The pundits are going to talk more and more about him, because he was this little secret the NFL didn't know about, but now people know about him, and he's going to start getting all these accolades.
Yeah, remember the name.
What?
And that Bucs defense knows about him, too, because on that Josh Reynolds touchdown, it was St. Brown who commanded 2 or 3 defenders, one of which was supposed to be covering Josh Reynolds, who slipped in the back of the end zone for that touchdown. That was huge. So I agree. I'll be quick.
The star of the show.
We're squeezing this in. There were actually so many guys. You could have gone Jahmyr Gibbs here. You could have gone Brian Branch, even Aiden Hutchinson, Ife Melifonwu. I talked about on Woodward Nights last night, but I'm going to go with Goff. Jared Goff, he had another great game in the playoffs. He was 30 of 43, 287 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Even a couple big runs there. First down, not a tush push, but a little traditional quarterback sneak that he got. But it was how he responded to things when they weren't going well. He started the game 2 of 6, which meant, if my math is correct, he finished 28 of 37. So once he got into a rhythm, once he started finding these receivers, moving the chains, it was as if that he was that unstoppable Jared Goff, that unstoppable Detroit Lions offense that we've come to know and love here in Detroit. And then, this is something Booner shared with me last night. His stats, actually from the Up and Adams show, that's where it was originally shared. His stats in the 4th quarter since week 10, including the playoffs, he leads the NFL in pass yards per game, completion percentage, pass touchdowns, and passer rating. Number 1, first in the NFL since week 10. That includes 3 of their losses. So what more do you want from a guy at the end of a game? This is everything you could ask for. The Detroit Lions, if they're in a game at the end of the game, Jared Goff's the guy who can either take care of the ball and run the ball out so that the opposing offense doesn't get an opportunity, or he can lead a drive back like we saw in the Chicago Bears game earlier in the season. Jared Goff is got my game ball for this Bucs game.
And you said it, but it's across the board. We talk about it nearly every week, and I think you're seeing it come up big here, is that the game ball could go to anyone, and it could go to everyone on this Lions team for their performance in this game and week after week and how they show up for each other. It's not just about one player showing up time and time again. It's about all of them showing up, doing their part, and being those, and I'm going to say it, and you're going to hear me saying it constantly, especially going into the draft. It's because they're Dan Campbell guys.
It's true.
It's the guys that they drafted. It's the guys that they've drafted since day one when Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell came into place. And it's the guys that they will continue to bring on this team that now other teams all around the league are looking and saying, so maybe they aren't that crazy.
Yeah. How about that? Jahmyr Gibbs had actually, let me double check here. I think rookie led the team in rushing.
Yes.
Rookie led the team, actually. They had the most catches. Laporta had the most catches. Didn't have as many yards as St. Brown. And I believe, Brian Branch, leading tackler on defense. How about that?
There you have it. We're going to get into more of the rookies and reviewing this game, this Lions winning game here in the next segment. So stick with us, and we'll be right back.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle Dee Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Welcome back to Woodward and Main Street, your Lions Insider show here on Woodward Sports Network. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips. Alongside me, Matt Broder. We have Terry Foster joining us on the phone. We just covered our game balls, so there they are. One more time for you to catch them if you did not catch them in the last segment. Jared Goff, Derek Barnes, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But Matt, you talked about it towards the end of the last segment, and I want to get back into it here. It's the Lions rookie class that we keep talking about that's putting up those numbers on the board, that's breaking record after record. And I want to jump right into this because yesterday, Adam Schefter joined the Pat McAfee show, as he normally does, and he made a comment really praising the Lions draft class, saying, yes, this is the best draft class. This is textbook how you're supposed to do it. Pat McAfee stopped him and was like, you want to reverse what you just said? Because I'm pretty sure you and all your NFL draft analyst friends were saying the exact opposite and absolutely trashing Brad Holmes, absolutely trashing Dan Campbell, absolutely trashing the Detroit Lions. And now you're taking a step back and you've realized, well, maybe you shouldn't be so quick to judge because they might have something really special going on in Detroit, which is what he ended up saying in this segment. But way to prove them all wrong.
Seriously.
You know who else was quick to judge? Me. I was pissed off draft night. I said, what the hell are they doing? And, the Lions have a reputation of not wanting players who have a little gristle on them. Mm-hmm. I thought they should have gotten Jalen Carter when they got this shot. But this has been a great draft class. And, Brad Holmes is a guy that's playing chess while the rest of the people are playing checkers. I think what we're going to see with Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, and we're already seeing it a little bit, is the NFL is thinking differently on how they're going to approach coaching, drafting, motivation. And these guys are leaders. The Lions have always been followers. Now they're leaders in these departments.
Exactly.
They're looking pretty smart, now that we're in the playoffs and we see these rookies contributing in year one. It all starts to make even more sense, whether it's, people in Detroit here or nationally, seeing these rookies perform in big games.
Yeah.
It's no surprise they're drafted from the Alabamas of the world. Even Iowa, they play in big games and they're tough. Sam Laporta and Jack Campbell, they're just tough Dan Campbell, gritty guys. So it makes sense. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, they're selecting the guys that are for them.
Yeah.
They want Jahmyr Gibbs, whether it's at 12, 6, 18, whatever they knew they wanted him, and they were going to do whatever they can to get him. The fact that this team is, I think, a year ahead of schedule and are already here in the playoffs with a lot of contributors from 3 draft classes, even looking back to Penei Sewell, to think of what they're going to be able to do. Another draft this offseason, and another free agency class where, although some of the free agents brought in got injured, I really love the guys that they went and targeted. They were perfect for this team, and we're seeing some of that now with C.D. Deuce in the playoffs. He's now able to play and making a huge difference. So shout out to Brad, Dan, Sheila, Chris Spielman, Disner.
Huge difference on
Agnew.
the field and off the field from C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He was a big topic of our last show, and kind of said, is this going to bite the Lions in the butt, the fact that he talks so much trash to Baker Mayfield online? And I think I had the opposite effect. I think C.J. Gardner-Johnson was actively watching the tape and knew where to be to make that interception possible. I think he had to have a play like that happen in this game to make the point that he was making. And then what do you make of him taking to Instagram Live after the game to continue the rampage?
I'm curious, like do they have were they going to exchange jerseys? Like, I don't understand send the jersey with the ball, but it was cool, or it was funny. It was a moment that I didn't get to see live or notice live being at the stadium and up in the press box. But when you went and watched the game after, you see him flip the ball to Baker Mayfield, and that's gone viral now.
Yeah.
Talk about walking the walk. Like, for all the talk that he does, which I love, he always seems to back it up. And that's what you have to do. If you're going to talk, you better back it up. And he did it. It was a massive game changer, momentum changer. That first drive that the Bucs had, able to pick that off after it was tipped. C.D. Deuce coming in hot.
Well, I think what happens with him is he watches game film, obviously, and he's unfiltered. And instead of trying to couch things, well, he's a fine goal, he says what he sees.
Yeah.
And it's something that society doesn't like. I mean, one thing, the media, and we always want people to be honest with us, and then when they are, then we kind of rip them a little bit. But the only thing with him, and I thought maybe he could stir up Baker Mayfield and make him better than he actually is, but he saw what he saw on tape, and he just told us what was up.
He did exactly that.
I'm saying the guy was garbage. Right. He didn't call Baker Mayfield garbage, but he just said he ain't that good.
He implied some negative things about Baker Mayfield. We've been talking plenty about the Lions' new guard. We got to get to the old guard. We got to talk about Frank Ragnow. Jared Goff said it on his Instagram story. Stud. Absolute stud. And he's been getting a lot of flowers after this game, and I think he should continue to get those. So we're going to kind of hand him out on this show because he really showed up when it mattered most, even when he was, let's say, playing at that 80%. But as Dan Campbell has said, his 80% is like everyone else's 100%. And having him out there is such a difference maker. What does it mean to have a veteran like him on this team? And Terry, how much do you think he contributes even when he is injured?
He contributes a lot. I mean, the one thing that he gets from his position, guys, is a lot of respect. They call him Cap. And, I mean, when they talk about each other and say how good the players are, but then when they talk about Ragnow, it's just different. It's like they're almost talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or they're talking about Michael Jordan, or they're talking about Peyton Manning, or they're talking about the greats. Now, he's not in that category because he's a center, but that's the way his teammates view him. and that's very important.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if Ragnow says we need to do something, well, guess what? The other 4 dudes are going to be doing it.
And talk about a challenge with 9 toes, a sprained knee, a sprained ankle, and Vita Vea across from you. Yeah, all of it. You see his injury report, there's just one more body part added each week. But he didn't miss a snap. He might have actually missed a kneel at the end of the first half, but he really didn't miss a snap. And that was huge, especially with Jonah Jackson going out in the second quarter. Having Frank Ragnow there still to anchor and protect Jared Goff, to help him call out the blitzes. He was a huge help in that game, and Jared Goff referenced that too. You can't understate how much of a warrior Frank Ragnow is. Talk about embodying this team and a Dan Campbell guy again. It doesn't get more like that than Frank Ragnow.
No, it doesn't. All right, well, that is how we're going to close out this segment. I think we've spent enough time talking about the past, talking about that Lions win, and we're going to get into what it would take for the Lions to get another win this week. We're going to be back here on Sunday talking about it, but we got to give you a little taste, a little preview of what you're going to be getting on Sunday. So stick with us, and we'll be right back to close out the show.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Broder and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Broder and Broder.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests, for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back. This is Woodward and Main Street, your Lions Insider Show here on Woodward Sports Network. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips, Matt Broder. We have Terry Foster live on the phone coming at you from LA, and we are brought to you by Les Stanford. Thank you so much, Les Stanford, for making this show possible. What was your slogan that you said in the beginning of the show?
More wins, Les Stanford.
Yeah, there you have it. There you have it.
Yeah.
We are talking about another potential win that the Lions could have this week. They're headed to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. The Lions are 60 minutes away from the Super Bowl. I said the words. I said the S word.
Yeah.
But that's just a fact. That's just a fact. They're 60 minutes away from potentially going to the Super Bowl. So number 1 on the list that we're going to cover here, because it's hot off the presses, happened yesterday. What do you make of the Lions adjusting to losing Brock Wright due to his forearm injury by signing Zach Ertz? Terry, I want to throw this to you first and get your thoughts, since we haven't been able to hear those yet.
I was stunned they're able to do that, but it just shows that one thing Dan Campbell said a few weeks ago is, you know, we may never be in this position again. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. And I think the Lions are treating this like we're here to win this thing. We're not here to be pretty. We're not here to be competitive. We're here to win the whole thing. So when Brad Holmes signs Zach Ertz, that's a sign. That's a huge sign. That's an important sign, and that they're in it to win it. And they feel nobody can stop them.
Now, Matt, you've been around this locker room. Can Ertz join this Lions mojo that's been going on and positively contribute in such a short period of time? Because we've talked about this team and how they are winning because of how they play as a team. Can he adjust to that in just a couple of days before heading to play the 49ers?
I believe he can. I don't know how much of a contribution, but he's definitely going to be able to fit in and at least help not just add depth, but add a piece that this offense they can rely on late in the game in big moments. Zach Ertz, he's a veteran. He's played under Steve Hyden, the Lions tight ends coach, who was with him in Arizona when he played for the Cardinals. Steve Hyden was the coach. Zach Ertz was the tight end for the Cardinals the last couple of years. So he's one that they know well enough to bring in at this point in the season and not disrupt anything. And in fact, even if he was just neutral, if he was going to come in and not really help, not really do anything, I don't think they would have brought him in. So the fact that Brock Wright went out, they needed some depth at the tight end position. They love having two tight ends out there at the same time. So I think Zach Ertz, he's a guy they'll be able to rely on. Maybe it's 10 snaps, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 5. Whatever snap count it is, he'll be able to help.
One more injury that we need to cover, Jonah Jackson going out. How worried are you about him missing this game against the 49ers? Terry, you want to take this one?
How about very, very, very? Because Lions built on what they can do. They can do. Obviously, they're a versatile team, but a lot of times they just want to run the football, and he's a 30-yard a game difference in their rushing attack. And that could be, in a tight game, that could be the difference right there. Or that could be the Lions have a lead at the end, and they're not able to run out the last 4 minutes of the game like they've been able to do the last couple of playoff games. So that's very important to me and very concerning. Jonah Jackson, unsung hero, guy we don't talk enough about, but when he's out there, they're productive.
Yeah, and this is a game that we saw a little bit of a blueprint with Aaron Jones and the Green Bay Packers of if you can run on the 49ers, you can run on the 49ers, and you're going to need to do that to keep that defense, which is nasty. Their defense is really good, off balance, especially that defensive line with Chase Young, Javon Hargrave, Eric Armstead, Nick Bosa. Jonah Jackson, that's a huge loss. I think they can weather it, especially just for a game, if he can make it back, especially with the bye week in between the championship and the Super Bowl. So we'll see. But yes, it is a big loss for the Lions.
Let's take a quick.
But you know what? There's this magical thing that happens in sports. You can survive losing someone important for a game, but what happens when you need 2, 3, 4, 5 games? That's where you run in trouble. So guys can close up that hole, but usually it lasts for one game, and so maybe they can survive this Jonah Jackson absence.
I will survive.
We're gonna see how they're feeling closer as we get to Sunday, the day where the Detroit Lions will take on the 49ers. We're closing out the show, but I want to give you a little preview. Let's take a quick look at the last time that the Detroit Lions won 2 playoff games. The year was 1957. Elvis Presley's All Shook Up was playing on the radio while his star was still rising. A dozen of eggs cost 55 cents. Vanna White was born that year. I Love Lucy ended their show. Bubble wrap was invented. Jackie Robinson retired, and the Detroit Lions defeated the San Francisco 49ers 31-27 in the conference playoffs in San Francisco. The Lions had 7 Pro Bowlers and 5 AP All-Pros on that team, and one man who made the cut on both of those teams, left guard Harley Sewell. Let me repeat that one more time.
Wow.
Left guard Harley Sewell. You heard that right. Another Sewell on the team. He played on both the offense and defense because things were a little bit different in the 50s, but I don't think you can make that up. I don't think the NFL can make this up. I think this is exactly the kind of crazy story that you have to keep in the back of your head as a Lions fan. In that game against the 49ers, Bobby Lane went out halfway through the game, and the Lions had to rely on backup quarterback Tobin Rote to lead the Lions back after being down 24-7 in the first half. That second half, the Lions scored 24 unanswered points, and they went on to play the Browns in the championship, where the Browns were favored, and they beat them 59-14.
Well, you want to add to this conspiracy theory? I know we're wrapping up earlier.
Let's
You said they beat the 49ers 31-27. 31 plus 27 is 58. Super Bowl 58's happening. Also, you said the cents, the eggs cost 55 cents.
Yes.
You combine the Lions scores in the last 2 games, 31 and 24. That's 55.
That's math for you. That's conspiracy theories.
Well, you guys
and I'm
been too
about
nuts
it.
for me.
We're moving quick with the math for 8 in the morning on a Tuesday. But we're going to be here to talk about the historic opportunity that the Lions have on Sunday at 8 a.m. Thanks for sticking with us bright and early this morning. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips, Matt Broder, Terry Foster joining us on the phone, but he's going to be right back in that third seat down there to join us on Sunday as the Lions take on the 49ers. Have a great Tuesday and go Lions.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.